And during the Cold War, we worked very closely, and we still work closely with our British, NATO allies, sharing information, two-way street. How closely do we work today with our allies and also with our adversaries in certain areas, sharing space information?
So we have very close relationships with both our traditional allies, some of whom you named, on information sharing in space, as well as a growing group of additional countries who may have not been traditional partners of ours. Our closest partners are embedded in everything that we do. They are sitting next to us at our command and control stations. They are sharing information about technologies and about our understanding of what adversaries might be doing. They're intimately embedded in everything that we do. And we work, and we share with them, and they share with us. And many of them house elements of the Space Situational Network on their territory, giving us global diversity that allows us to access all parts of the world. In addition to that, we are expanding our participation beyond simply, hey, we've got this system, would you like to play in it? Would you like to buy a copy for yourself? Would you like to replicate it on your territory? Now we are expanding our cooperation with allies in the realm of, hey, we're starting a new program. Would you like to get in on the ground floor? Would you like to be part of the planning for that system? Would you like to be part of the funding for that system? Case in point, we talked about the fact that the government is changing their approach for satellite communications. We talked about the fact that we're going to do a different division of labor between government and commercial satellite systems. We're currently performing an analysis of alternatives leading to a future acquisition program in this arena. And when we did it, we did two things differently than we ever had before. We brought commercial industry in on the ground floor and said, you guys are modernizing your constellations, tell me what you're doing and how it could help against our requirements. And secondly, we brought in our allies at the beginning as well. So I signed out letters to 24 of our closest friends saying, we're going to do this analysis, this study. Would you like to participate? And you can participate any way you want. You can be in the planning up front. You can simply wait till the end and say, I'd like 2 of those and 1 of those. Or anything in between. And we've gotten very positive responses on that. Now, with potential rivals, we believe very strongly that the drive for global norms of behavior in space needs to be a multilateral exercise. We can't just do it ourselves, we can't just do it amongst our friends. It also has to be other countries who are performing what we believe to be some irresponsible behavior in space, because it doesn't take much for one country to kind of ruin it for everybody, right? You've all been to a public pool. Just going to stop there. Okay. So if space is kind of like our public pool, we need everybody to act responsibly, right? And so to do that, you've got to talk to everyone. And so we've used our diplomatic methods. The State Department has the lead on this, to work multilateral and bilaterally with all of the nations that have the ability to operate in space, and to act and to define what we consider to be responsible behavior. Maybe shooting down a satellite, causing 3,000 PC3, falls in the category of not responsible behavior. Several years later, the US had a similar issue, only it wasn't a defunct satellite we wanted to shoot down. It was a brand new satellite that we just launched that failed to activate. And it had a brand new full tank of gas. And it was going to re-enter on its own. And the potential was there for it to land in a populated area. So we had no choice but to find a way to take it out. Now, we didn't have a system like the Chinese had ready to go to be tested right then. We had to make modifications to a surface-to-air missile that was on a ship in the middle of the ocean. And we wrote software that would allow it to target a satellite in orbit. And we shot it. And on the first hit, we didn't just hit the satellite. We hit the fuel tank on the satellite. Little high and to the left, but it was still a strike, okay? It was still a strike. The Empire called it. It was good. Umpire, not Empire. And blew up that hydrazine, but we did it at a point in the lowest point of the orbit of that satellite. which means that all of the debris from that explosion re-entered in the atmosphere and burned up within 2 months. 10 years, 2 months, right? There's responsible behavior in space, and there's irresponsible behavior in space. And so we want to talk to everyone about the difference between those two, so that we can make them a global norm. And I would love to see participation from NGOs, philanthropic groups, think tanks, people who care about preserving the space environment for future generations, people who care about the vision of getting the human race onto another planet besides the one that we're on now, for diversity purposes. Writing, thinking, talking, promoting, cajoling their governments to participate in an activity to generate a set of global norms for how we're going to operate in space, how we're going to treat each other when we encounter each other in space.